Well, here we are. We're finally on paragraph 5, the last paragraph of our story about Cincinnatus. So, again, if you're using your book, we are on page 96. And where we last left off, Cincinnatus had been farming in his fields, and messengers came to get him because the Senate wanted him to save the city. And he took a quick shower, grabbed a fresh toga, and was off to the Senate in Rome to see what he could do to help the situation. Remember, Rome is being besieged by some enemies, and there are two consuls. One of the consuls is sort of surrounded by the enemy, and there's a bit of an emergency to try to get him and the army out. Ubi ad urbem accedit, patres aviam ei venient, et in senatum ducunt. Alright, so we have an ubi right off the bat. What kind of clause are we in? You guessed it, a subordinate clause, so we will just underline here to accedit, subordinate clause. So when he approaches the city, patres aviam ei venient. So the note will help you out here to the side. The senators, remember the patres here we're translating as senators, come to meet him. So you're told to just translate aviam ei as come to meet him, but let's ask some questions about ei while we're here. So ei is what part of speech? Do we have a pronoun, a noun, an adjective? What are we looking at here? All right, if you said a pronoun, you are correct. They come to meet him. Now, we learned that our pronouns follow kind of standard expectations for first and second declension adjectives, except for two cases. In those two cases, they always have the same endings, regardless of which pronoun you're looking at, and the ending is the same for both masculine, feminine, and neuter, and it's only in the singular. So if you remember those two cases, you can maybe narrow it down. What case is ei here? All right, if you said dative, you are correct. So for right now, you just need to know that it's dative because aviam wants to take a dative after it. But we want to just refresh those endings as well. So remember our genitives, ius, masculine, feminine, neuter, and the dative will have an I. Fix that. These cases, and especially these little words, can sometimes be confusing or get lost in the shuffle, but all you want to know and remember, right? It's easy to remember the exceptions to the rules, that the endings for all the other cases will look pretty similar to what you would expect from first and second declension, but the genitive and the dative get a little wonky for these pronouns. All right, so the senators come to meet him, and they lead him into the Senate. Ibi tu solus inquiunt urbem servare potes. There, they say, you alone are able to save the city. So we've seen this a few times at this point. Tu is going to be a personal pronoun. And what case is tu here? Well, that's a good question about case. Exactly. Nominative, singular. This is our second person pronoun. You alone are able to save the city. And so we appoint you as a dictator. And we saw this use of te in paragraph 4. What we want our highlighter. This accusative, we make you, or we appoint you. Exercitum in hostes duc urbemque nostram et magno periculo serva. So in this sentence, so remember the Senate is still talking to Cincinnatus. Let's start first by asking what form duke is right here. This was a form that you learned in this chapter. All right, this is our imperative. Remember, we would learn these irregular imperatives. So it's your imperative, singular. Remember the verbs that we learned usually only have the irregular in the singular. So you would go back to ducate if you want to say you all lead. A fun rhyme, if you want to use that to remember these, are deek, duke, fak, and fair should have an E, but it isn't there. So normally for our imperatives, for example, like serwa, you drop the infinitive, and then like you drop the RE from your infinitive, and then you're just left with that stem with the vowel. So duco, ducere, if you drop the RE, then you would have an E on the end of your imperative. But deek, duke, fak, and fair should have an E, and it isn't there. So lead the army against the enemies and save our city from a great danger. So nostrum here, let's pause there. Are we looking at a pronoun or an adjective? All right, if you said pronoun, you are wrong. If you said adjective, you are correct. So, keep forgetting about my highlighter. Here we go. Nostrum. So what word, if we're talking about nostrum as an adjective, is nostrum going to agree with? What word does it modify? Urbem. Exactly. So feminine, accusative singular. Urbem is feminine, accusative singular. Remember, nouns and adjectives agree in 3 things: gender, number, and case. So save our city, nostrum urbem, from a great danger.